I'd like to talk to you about how to protect your belly in your 4th trimester. Whether you have a cesarean or vaginal, you are at risk for what's called a rectus diastasis, or a DRA, where you get a little split or a tent. And some of you might have already seen them a little bit. You can have a little separation during your pregnancy, but in the 4th trimester, if it stays put, it becomes pathological. So the things that you want to do, remember those transverses that we talked about, you want to really make sure that you're engaging those, because what the transversus does, it's the deepest of the belly muscles, and it creates these anchors that the other belly muscles can anchor onto. So then you get less of that split. So the biggest thing that you want to think about is 1, using your transverse abdominis again as you move, and 2, avoiding any kind of sit-up position. Because even though a baby's not in there, your belly muscles are still really elongated. And if you start doing some sort of sit-up position, your belly muscles do this eat, and that's when you get that rectus diastasis. So one of the biggest things is, do you remember when you were big and pregnant, how to get out of bed you had a log roll? You want to continue doing that for 6 to 8 weeks, depending on what your belly's doing. So log rolling is, if I'm going to lay down on my back, instead of doing a sit-up like this, which would create that sit-up and that strain, I'm going to come down and come here, and then roll onto my back, and then to get up, instead of coming up like this, here, and that whole time I have my TAs engaged. If you are breastfeeding or bottle feeding your baby somehow, and it's late at night and you start to slump down and you sit down into your recliner and you can't log roll out, you want to use your hands as much as possible to pull yourself up versus your belly. And then again, you want to really anchor your TA so you'll be and get yourself up. You'll have more issues usually post-cesarean and with that scar, and we're going to talk about scars in a little bit. We have a list in your binder for belly binders that are options for both vaginal and cesarean births. I don't have there's no research on them, so I can't say empirically whether they help, but I can tell you that women who have had babies and not worn them, had babies that worn them, really like them, and we think because it gives that proprioceptive input. The caveat with the belly binders is if you feel any heaviness or pressure down on your pelvic floor, it means there's some sort of laxity down there, and we need to strengthen the pelvic floor before you put a pressure on the belly. The pelvic floor trumps the belly, and that's how you protect your belly postpartum.